Hello.
Hey everyone,
How's it going?
how you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. How are
Man, such a
you?
oh no, I'm so having fun. We
You
don't
are?
know what's going on.
Would you like to go to a party? Because we're
No.
having one right now.
Oh yes, then I want to
All
go to
right,
this one.
Joe, your voice sounds really bad.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Welcome everyone to No Worry Wednesday.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
am I am your host, Static Q. I changed my name.
wow.
You see the
You're
name
static
down there. It
Q.
says CDVNL. But I'm changing my name because
Yeah,
we have
that's
Static P.
CDVNL. It's pronounced static Q.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm changing it. I'm changing
Oh,
Static
okay.
Q. The Q stands for
Questionable. I'll say. That's
Yes.
questionable.
So,
Nice.
so when Jesse gets around to it, he's going to change the name down there. So say instead of CB, I'll say Static
So it'll be static P and
Q.
static Q.
Yeah,
I like it.
exactly.
So that way we can be.
I have to come next, because you're the original Static.
Do you want to be referred to as PQ or QP as the group name? Like static PQ or static QP?
Pikachu,
Yeah,
Pikachu,
Pika Q. Oh, yeah, we got to
something.
get a K in there somewhere.
Yeah, wow, tough. Yeah, this beard has only been like the last two times, and I'm actually gonna shave it off because it's too much of a hassle. So
Yep,
yeah. So anyway, so next week
I get
I'll be
it.
back to my normal whatever shaven
Dr-
self.
yes.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
welcome to
Welcome
Snowboard
everybody.
Wednesday.
Yes. Thanks for joining us.
Yes,
Um, yeah. Go ahead,
w-
tell them about the show, Joe.
it's Don't Worry Wednesday. It's a great show. It's a show where we talk about any challenges, issues, or anything like that you might be facing. You can feel free to just post it in the chat. You can message us on our website, bss.studio. You can email us, dww@bss.studio. Or we have a call-in number. Actually, we don't.
I was like,
So
what?
where is that? What someday maybe that'd be kind of fun, I think.
Yeah, why not?
Um, but at any rate, yeah, you can message us any of those places, and we'll be happy to talk about it, offer some friendly perspective and some advice if you would like. And yeah, we want to come at you as friends. We are not professional therapists or counselors or anything like that, but we just want to love you and encourage you and help in any way we possibly can, just to move you along the path of the journey that you probably are smart enough to figure out on your own. Most people are, but sometimes we just get so blinded by the issue itself, we can't see the whole thing. So it helps sometimes to have somebody from an outside perspective to just share a little bit. I know that's helped me so many times. A lot of times Ryan has given me the perspective, where I'm like, Ryan, I'm all messed up, and he's like, yeah, you are. And it usually ends
Oof,
there.
I don't think that happened, but okay.
Hey, there we go. That's a great note. We should figure out how to get that number. One
Oh.
eight hundred DWWCALL. That's probably somebody's number already. So if somebody
Actually, I would
calls it,
rather it be 1-800-DWW.
1-800 static P.
STATIC.
It would
It
work. It
works.
would work. Oh
It
my
would
gosh.
work.
Gotta get that one too.
Yep.
So anyway, well, at any rate, we don't have a call-in number. So if you call any of those numbers that we just recommended, um, you're on your own. I guess. I'm sorry.
Yeah, good luck.
So yeah, so we got some stuff here. We got Sparrow is here. Cherry is here. Tef is here. Princess is here. Jesse is here. Oh, Jesse is our producer. He's awesome.
Yeah.
You knew that already. Those of you who have ever been here before. You know how awesome Jessie is. And also Princess is our chat room hostess. She's awesome as well. Man, I tell you, this show would not happen without those two. It would be so hard. I mean, I know we've kind of struggled through, a couple times, but man, they make this show go so smoothly. And so thank you guys both so much. I know you can hear me because you're here. So there you have it.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, welcome everyone. And Sparrow, we have something here from you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see Hyrule, Ichiraku, Jack, Sumner, Kagan, John Doe, or Jehoshaphat. I don't see any of you guys here. If you just heard your name, you can feel free to say, "Hey, that was me," in the
Mm-hmm.
chat. Like, type it out. Because if you just say it out loud, I'm not gonna probably hear it.
Hey,
But
Xermi. And also, if you guys just happen to think about a topic while we're covering this next one, that'd be really awesome because we actually we're kind of open right now to current topics. So if you want us to cover anything today, let us know. If there's anything on your mind, anything worrying you, family life or dog life, whatever it is, yeah, that'd be really helpful for us, and that would be
yeah,
also hopefully helpful to somebody else, not just you, because a lot of times you're not the only one going through the issue, or little tidbits of advice or things that we've encountered in our life help someone on a completely different issue
right,
than you would expect your issue to help with, but it
yeah,
happens. Like I'm talking about like someone who has a problem with their mom, and then all of a sudden this other person who was like, I've been having trouble keeping up with my homework lately, and for some reason that topic really helped me. you know that happens. So
uh-huh.
um yeah.
Yep. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to a call-in show. I've never called into a call-in show,
Mm-hmm.
but I've listened to a lot of call-in shows, and I've gotten a lot of great information just from listening to the answers from other people's questions. So
Hey, Ren.
it's pretty cool. So yeah, well, welcome everyone. And so I see Sparrow, it looks like you're on a time limit. Yeah, I'm on a time limit today, Sparrow says. So we will start
Okay,
with yours
let's go for it.
and move on from there. So this is from Sparrow. It's called an affordable hobby. Let's see. Let me
Sparrow,
find it.
I admire your ability to say so much in such a short amount of words. I can't even do that myself. Like you are impressive. Oh my
Yep,
gosh, it's magician gesture. Hey man, time no see.
very concise. So there's the link to the topic right there. Feel free to click and read along as I read. So this is from Sparrow. It's called an affordable hobby. And it says, Sparrow is here. Hello, all. I really want to get into a hobby, but I can't find something that I want to do that my parents will be able to provide. For example, I want to get into guitar, but guitars are expensive. Also, ideas aren't coming to me as they used to, and I'm kind of worried. Update, my friend from a few words ago is now open to talk to his friends about it. Sparrow is gone.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you for the update. I'm having trouble placing it. My brain isn't
I'm trying to
isn't
remember too.
isn't
Hey Sparrow, can you
grasping it.
remind us? You had a friend that was not talking to his other friend about something. I'm trying. We don't usually have this problem. Usually we're pretty on top of remembering the topics
Yeah,
and stuff, but I for some reason I can't place that one. So if you
yeah.
can remind us, that'd be awesome. But yeah.
Well, at any rate, so it looks like we have a couple challenges here. One is getting into a hobby, and the other is not having ideas come. They're not flowing like
Mm,
normal. So oh, my friend, he says,
oh,
Sparrow says, my friend's mom had a type of cancer and he was afraid to talk about it.
got it.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that he's willing to talk about it now. that helps a lot of
Yeah,
times when
yeah,
you're
yeah,
going
yeah.
through a
I
challenge like
remember.
that to
Yeah, I
just be
remember
able
that
to
now.
talk. Yep.
Yeah, that's for sure. When you're going through a challenge like that, it can be really. You just kind of want to shut down and block everything out. So, yep,
Uh-huh.
it's
Yep.
good. That's a good. That's a good forward step there. It's good to hear.
Right. So, well, all right, Sparrow. Well, so you want to get into a hobby, and guitars are kind of expensive. Yes, they can be. You can also sometimes you can find them fairly cheap. Um, so I can't remember how much my first guitar was. Uh, I think I got it for a present. I think it was less than $100 that I got my first guitar for. Um, which for a guitar that you know like a pro line guitar, you're gonna pay a lot of money for sure. But a beginner guitar, a lot of times you can get it. You can get by pretty cheap, and there are some good ones out there. One thing to look for is used ones. Um, if you really like the idea of guitar, it is possible. You might have to save a little bit of money, but if you have a shop in your area or even online, you can look up used guitars. Um, and yeah, a lot of times you can find some. My first acoustic guitar was a 12 string and it was used. And like I said, I think it was less than $100, and I still have it. I still play it. It was man, years and years ago. I think I was, boy, oh boy, how old was I when I got that thing? I'm gonna date myself. I'm gonna go on a date with myself.
Oh, jeez.
uh, but yeah, that was actually like 30 years ago or something like that,
Mm.
or 27 years ago or something crazy. But anyway, um, yeah, so I'm gonna turn it over to Ryan and see what he has to say. Ryan,
All right,
what you got?
sure. Thanks for the question, Sparrow. You're awesome, man. Thanks for coming in, tuning in the show so frequently. We really, really are super glad to have you here. Um, you know, it's kind of an interesting thing because when it comes to hobbies, there's so many different flavors. There's so many different kinds of people. There's so many different types of activities one can do. Um, so it's it's really difficult to give a precise answer to this because I don't know everything that you will be into. And that's one of the beautiful things about life is you just explore life. You explore reality and you find things that you become really enthralled in. It's something that you're just like, wow, I really enjoy doing this. I didn't even know that it was a thing. Or surprising, even more surprising is sometimes you go and you try things that you've done before, and all of a sudden you get this whole different opinion about it. And you're like, I love this. When I was a kid, I used to hate this, but now I just think it's awesome. Um, for me, one of those things was, of course, I never like despised religion or anything like that, but personally, like I remember listening to someone who's extremely passionate about God, and then from like listening to his talk and explaining things so with such great detail, and such love and passion for it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really into this. Like I'm getting pumped up listening to this guy who's pumped up about it, and then I'm like, I want to, I want to find out more, and then I got really into it, right? And that's the beautiful thing about life. So, Sparrow, my first suggestion here is try everything. Try everything, figure out what you like. And obviously you can't try everything because there's things that are expensive, like skydiving.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. But you can try anything that you can try. What I would suggest, Sparrow, go into Guitar Center. Go into Guitar Center or whatever music store is around.
Uh-huh.
They allow you to pick up the equipment there and fool around on it. And while you might be shy, there's no reason to be. Everyone else there stinks too. Um,
Except for that
especially
one
me if you
guy
see
every
me.
once in a while. Every once in a
Yeah.
while, someone goes in there that's like this virtuoso, and they're really like,
Yeah, yeah. And then they like, yeah, and they just shut everyone else down.
yeah.
It's true. But just go in there and you know what? Pick up a guitar and play with it for a few seconds and see like, am I enjoying it? Do I like this? Is this fun? And then you might be like, well, maybe if I was a little bit better, I don't mind spending time getting this, learning more about it and doing it. Um, Someone suggested Craigslist. It's a great idea. Now this is crazy. We have a piano. Actually, my brother has a piano, I should say. And it's like, it's a stand-up piano. It should cost a lot of money. We got it for free. Pianos cost a ton. All right. Pianos are one of the most expensive instruments in the entire world.
Yes, and heavy.
And heavy. We got it for free. They're like, we don't want this anymore, and we're having trouble getting rid of it. So just if anyone can come pick it up, pick it up. And we're like, yeah, I'll take it.
I'll pick it up.
Yep. Okay, never mind. I was gonna leave it here because that's too heavy. They are really heavy. So yeah. You could try looking on Craigslist. Now I know, like, obviously you aren't the person with the money in your family. You're relying on your parents. So yeah, totally makes sense, right? So for you to look on Craigslist and then go to your parents and say, hey mom, I found this deal on Craigslist. I can get this guitar for like $40. And it's not a bad one, or whatever. It's still up to them, right? It's up to them if they want to do it or not. But you can at least try, right? You can at least get that moving. And maybe there's a possibility that you end up having the opportunity. Another possibility is you can get one off of a friend. If you know a friend who has one, you can ask like, hey, can I borrow this for like a week? And then give it back to you and then see if I'm into it. I'm sure they would say yes if they're a good friend, So that's some options there if you were like looking to get a guitar and stuff. But again, try everything. Honestly, there's so many different things out there, so many different activities for us to enjoy and fall in love with. So yeah, maybe your thing is like rock climbing, or because you can go to different activity centers and like climb a rock wall, which is pretty awesome. And you know what? You can climb things for free. You can actually, if you live in an area with mountainous, you live in a mountainous region, you can actually just go climb stuff for free. It's cool. Maybe you like I don't know. There's all sorts of different stuff like sledding, or maybe you like running, which is weird, but some people really like running.
Okay, man.
And I'm telling you something else. Digital activities are almost like there's an investment, and then everything else is free from that point. So it's awesome. Maybe you could be interested in art, both in a physical realm, like on a piece of canvas and stuff like that, but also, you can try out digital art, because digital art is essentially free once you buy in. And let me tell you something, they're not that expensive. I was incredibly surprised. So I come from a music background, and everything in the digital world that's music is like, yeah, you can buy this for $200. You can buy this for $500. Or if you really want, you can buy this for $1,000. It's like everything's like that.
Yeah. Or you can buy it for 10,000.
Yeah. Or you can buy it for 10,000. Literally, I think we have way more than that invested. So yeah. But then, so I was like, yeah, I'm going to need some art programs. I'm going to need some video editing programs. Video editing, by the way, Rainey just recently got into video editing. She loves it. She likes it even more than she likes art right now. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you never know. You just try something and you find out, wow, I really enjoy this. So let me tell you, it costs $12 to get a good yo-yo.
Yeah.
Dude, you're right, Steve. That's
yo-yo
awesome.
is, man, have you ever seen someone who is really good at the yo-yo?
You can get like yo-yo for $5.
That's so fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I remember I was into yo-yo for a little while. I just kind of lost mine and never got another one, but I love playing the yo-yo. It's awesome. It's just so mesmerizing and enjoyable, and there's a nice feeling to it, But anyways, continuing on, I know, like, I was worried about getting an art program on my computer because I'm like, it's going to be expensive. And I go and I look it up and I'm like, oh, you can get the highest end art program for like $50. I'm like, are you kidding me?
That's cheap.
That's so cheap.
Yeah.
Compared to everything else I've ever bought.
Yeah.
So we come
from a world where, like, the music program's like 500, and that's just the basic, the bare bones, nothing.
That's to get
then you got
started.
to add all the plugins. Yeah.
Yeah. My gosh. Yeah, and then video editing program, what was like 50 or 70, something like that in that range. That's pretty
Something
cheap.
like that.
You can get cheaper stuff out there. But anyways, my point is you should really try to just try many things and find out
Yeah.
what you're interested in. There's so many free programs out there. So if you're interested in and you enjoy doing things on your computer, I know I do. Um, outside of like games and stuff like that, just go online and look up like free music software or free art software or free video editing software,
Mhm.
whatever. There's so many different mediums and hobbies online. Maybe your hobby is dissecting program languages. Some people play games just to figure out how they did the math in the game. So then they could try to figure out how they can break the game. I'm not kidding. It's
Whoa.
awesome. It is
Whoa.
so cool. Or maybe you're really interested in history and you just like you can make videos about history. People I love that. I like finding a video and it's just like telling me all about the history about something I never even heard of before. And I'm like, this is awesome. I'm learning so much here. So again, I know it's hard because there's so many different options, but just try stuff, get
Yeah.
into stuff, dig in, and just try to enjoy it. Um, whether it be dissecting the mechanics of a video game or something, uh, opening up a book, um, learning history about something, doing research about random things like yo-yos. Like, oh, guys, did you know yo-yos came about in the 1300s, and or whatever. I'm making this up, but you get it. Like, it can be cool. It can be super cool. Looking up different cultures, you can be really into different cultures. I know that was a thing for me. Um, cultures are cool. There's so many different types and so like how they formed and got to the way that they are. Honestly, there's so much out there. There's so many things to do for a hobby, so I can't really make a solid recommendation. All I can say is try stuff because there's a
Yeah.
lot out there. Anyways, sorry, I know I kind of rambled on for a while, but I'm gonna give it over to Joe, and he'll have his. He's gonna do a little bit better job than I did, and I hope you.
Oh,
Hope,
I don't know so much about that. Uh, but I really like what Ryan was saying to you there, Sparrow. That just to try stuff. And one thing, if you're having trouble coming up with something to try, one place that I found was really cool. There's a website called Skillshare, and it does. There is a membership if you want to go for a paid membership, but there's also I think I got like 2 months for free. Like there's a 2 month free period for it, right? But that doesn't stop. Like you don't have to sign up in order to browse what they have there. And what Skillshare is, it's basically a whole bunch of people teaching different stuff, right?
mm,
And so like you can browse and see what people are teaching, and that might give you an idea of maybe something you'd want to learn and do as a hobby.
that's really smart.
Um,
That's a really smart way to go about it.
so you can just browse different lessons. I stumbled across this because those of you who were around when we did our Kickstarter campaign and we put together the package of stuff that we did for Kickstarter, we're putting together the book, and none of us had ever done that before. And so it's like, hey, so I got to be the guy to do it. And so I was like, well, I don't know how to do this. So what am I going to do? Well, we got we got Adobe InDesign because that's what everybody wants to all the publishers want to use that in order to put together this book, right? So we're like, okay, we got to get that, and that's it's Adobe, so it's got a monthly fee. So the sooner we can get done with the book, the sooner we don't have to pay for it anymore, right? but but I didn't know anything about how to use it, and so I've stumbled upon Skillshare, and this guy had this huge long, he had like 6 hours worth of course material for Adobe InDesign and all this different stuff how to learn. And I remember just kind of binging on this to learn how to use this program. Just for a couple days, I binged on this and did all these lesson plans and everything like that, and it was great. But when I was there and I was looking at all the different things that people are teaching, I found so many things that I would love to learn that I don't have time to learn right now, but I would love to. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so when you were talking about trying to figure out what kind of thing you'd want to do for a hobby, that really just stood out to me where I was like, I remember finding all these things I'd want to do for hobbies that people are teaching how to do. And I wish I had time to do all of them, but I had to, I had to pick the one that was relevant at the time. And then I'm like, okay, maybe eventually I can learn some other stuff. But that might be one way to kind of guide your trying of things, right? And eventually, anything that you do is probably going to cost some money. But there are a lot of things that are very low price you can get into. I would not recommend golf as a hobby. That's pretty expensive. I would not recommend martial arts as a hobby. That's pretty expensive too. I would recommend them to do for sure, but if you're looking for something cheap, then I would not recommend them. But here's one thing to remember, Sparrow. We're so conditioned to think in terms of whether I can afford something or I can't afford something. And we always look at our current circumstances and we're like, well, I can't afford this, or I can afford this, or I can't, right? But the wrong question, like, it's wrong to say I can't afford this. Like, we got to get past saying I can't afford it. We have to start asking, how could I afford this? So you want to play guitar, you want to learn how to play the guitar. That's a great thing to learn how to play. And right now, the door seems closed because guitars are expensive. But if you ask the question, how could I get a hold of a guitar? Then your brain starts to operate differently. Instead of closing the door by saying, it's too expensive, I can't afford it, now your brain starts thinking, how could I get a guitar? How could I find a guitar? Ryan gave some suggestions that were great, finding someone to borrow one. And then he started coughing, and spits water out all over the place. I think.
Oh my gosh. Joe, you criminal. I blame this on you.
Man, what did I do?
No, you're fine.
Okay, good.
I inhaled the water instead of drinking it.
Oh.
I just wanted to try it, see what it was like. That's not a hobby. That's not a good hobby, guys.
That's not a good hobby. Trying to breathe water.
Yeah, don't be a water breather.
Not a good hobby.
That's what happens to you.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, if you start to think in terms of, instead of closing the door by saying I can't afford this, so I can't do it, so then I close the door. If you really want to do something, there is a way. And it's just a matter of figuring out how to get there. Borrowing, finding different ways to make money. I mean, really, there's stuff we can do to earn money. And if you really want something bad enough, you can figure out a way to do it. It's just a matter of starting with the question of, how could I do this? And maybe the answer doesn't pop out right away, but the answer could come as long as you don't close the door. So I would encourage you to think in terms of, rather than I can't afford something, just think in terms of, how could I? How can I do this? There's got to be a way. Lots of people do this. How can I do this? I look around all the time and I'm like, man, people are doing these things, and for some reason I'm not. Why? Sometimes it's like, well, because I don't want to. That's evil, or or maybe it's just a conscious choice. But if I see something and I like it, and I'm like, well, why is that not available to me? And then I start to think about it. I'm like, well, it is available. I would just have to do this and this and this. And then the question comes, am I willing to do this and this and this in order to have that? And then I start to learn, oh, I guess it's not really that important to me because I'm not willing to do this, this, and this in order to get that, which is what I would have to do. So I guess I have other things that are more important. So, and that's all part of how we learn and grow. We figure out who we are, we figure out what we're good at and what we like and what we don't like. But yeah, if you come across something and the door feels closed, a great question to ask is how? How could I do this? If it was possible, how would I do it? Because probably it is possible. And in the meantime, you can go and you can find, some stuff to do, try some different stuff. See, yeah, you, you had a yo-yo unit in your elementary. That's very interesting. Does that mean you had like a class that taught the yo-yo? Or a section of a class that taught yo-yo in elementary school? That'd be pretty cool. Um, but yeah, there are different things. There are different things you can do. I would encourage you to pick something that's healthy, of course. And yeah, I would encourage that. As far as the ideas that aren't coming to you as they used to, that is kind of a natural cycle that we all go through. I remember I was just talking about the book that I'm putting together for the Criminal Idol series, and Ryan has written all of the parts of the book, right? And then
Almost.
Rainey, you didn't. There's so. Oh wait, Jeff wrote the preface. That's right. Um, and I wrote the legal page.
I thought you meant like incompletion. I was like, I have 2 chapters left, but
Oh
I
yeah,
get
yeah,
it
yeah.
now.
Yep. Okay. But Ryan has written all the parts of the actual book that are going in there, right? And Rainey's done all the art. Rainey, along with Ryan and some other people, have, but Rainey did the majority of it. And all I'm doing is I'm just assembling it all, right? I'm taking what other people have done and I'm putting it all together. But I was reading a part of what Ryan wrote about a particular song, and he was like, "Yeah, I sat on this song for like over a year, and it took me forever, and I scrapped it twice." And he's going through all these this story of how this song was put together, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I've been there." Sometimes it's just so hard to get an idea. Sometimes you try things and you don't like it, and so you throw it out, and then you're like, "Well, now I'm back to square one."
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to come up with another idea. And sometimes it just goes like that. You go through a cycle where your brain is blocked. One thing I would do, it kind of depends, because sometimes, and I know we've mentioned this on the show before, but sometimes we have to get into action before an inspiration hits us, if that makes sense. Because inspiration and action go together, right? But we think that we need to be inspired first, and then we can take the action to do the thing, right? Or to bring the idea to formulation. I have to be inspired first, and then the idea will come. But sometimes, a lot of times, we just have to take the action, whatever the elementary fundamental action is of the task. And in doing that, it gets all the stuff flowing in our brains, and then the ideas just start to come. It had been years since I had written a song, and I decided at one point in time, I'm going to just sit down with my guitar for 30 minutes every day. Just 30 minutes. And it wasn't even every day. It was just like a couple times a week. 30 minutes. And I'm setting a timer because I only have 30 minutes. I got all these other things I got to do, but I'm making this a priority. So I just sat down 30 minutes and I sat down with my guitar. And I think in a month, I had put together the ideas for like 6 or 7 songs. Just because, and I wasn't inspired. I was just like, I'm going to just sit down and I'm going to noodle around. I'm going to play. Or maybe I'm going to play something I used to like to play, an old song I used to play all the time. Or I'm just going to screw around. And you know what? Ideas started to just come out of that just taking the action. I've heard a lot of people that if they're writers, what they'll do is they'll sit down with a pen and they'll just start doodling on a piece of paper just to get the action, the motion of writing is what causes it. Or you could probably, if you're writing on a computer, just sitting down and typing gibberish, because the action of doing that will then start to think, oh, you'll start to move in a direction and boop. A creative writing course I took said the same exact thing. Set a time limit and then just start writing whatever words come to your brain. And then before you know it, you start to find a path. But it's crazy. The action is what started the whole process. So I've talked for a while. Ryan, do you have anything else here?
Not a whole lot. I just want to follow it up with something you said previously, and I think that is super important. Don't say I can't afford it. Just like you said, I think that's super important. Don't think like that. Don't think, oh, I can't afford this. If your thought is I can't afford this, then your thought immediately after should be, then I don't need it. If you're gonna say I can't afford this and you're not gonna try to figure out a solution, then maybe it's just not something you need to spend any time on, because you're not passionate enough about it. So like putting that much investment into it might not pay off, right? But I think the more important thing here is to ask, like Joe said, how can I afford this? Because that opens up so many different opportunities, so many doors of opportunities in life. Are really just asking a question differently. You look at the problem and you say, oh, I don't have enough money for this. How can I get the money for this? Don't say, oh, I just don't have enough and therefore I won't have it. You can say, how can I get that? Let me tell you something. I knew this kid and he just crazy impressed me. We moved to Colorado. This was like 10 years ago. We moved to Colorado and there was a kid who was taking care of the house that we just started renting. And the kid was only 13 years old and he'd already been taking care of it for 2 years, which means he started taking care of the house when he was 11.
Oh
He
my.
was cutting the lawn. He was trimming the trees down. He was just doing maintenance on the house, making sure things were okay and working. Checking the pipes. Do you got any leaks on this house? Doing stuff like that. I mean, this kid's like 11 when he started doing this. So my point is, age isn't an issue. Age isn't an issue. you can go out and just be like, okay, what do I do to like get some money? And there you go. That's an option. Just go around and be like, hey, do you need help around the house? Do you need me to take care of your lawn? I can take care of your lawn for you. Type of stuff. You can, like, you see this. You get people who come to your door and they're like, hey, I'll rake your leaves. And for like, like $50 or something, I'll rake your leaves in your yard. And they're like, okay, yeah, sure. That saves us time. And people usually do it just because they're like, just because they want to help you out. And also because, I mean, they don't want to rake it either. No one wants to rake up those leaves. So raking leaves, cutting lawns, obviously that time of year might not be right now. So instead, shovel snow in driveways and stuff. Or salt their driveway, salt their sidewalks, say, hey, yeah, things like that, take care of it. I don't know, whatever, but come up with something. And you'll find yourself having enough money to buy a guitar eventually, pretty soon, actually. You can acquire money a lot faster than you expect when you do things like that.
Yep. It's true.
And especially if you're living under someone else's roof. So, yeah, that's some ideas for you. But basically, the whole point is, like Joe said, don't say, I can't afford this. It's much better to say, how can I afford this? Because yeah, it's true. Yeah, you can't afford it. That's a good point. And you shouldn't go buy stuff off of credit, right? And then have to pay back later more than what you should have paid for it. Right? It's not good. So it's understandable and it's okay to say, I can't afford this right now. But then the next question is supposed to be a solution. When you have a problem, you're supposed to find a solution for it, right? Otherwise, what was the point of bringing up the problem?
Yeah.
Um, and that's what a lot of us do. A lot of us just kind of look at a problem, go, "Oh, I don't like that," and then we walk away. And it's human. It's normal to do that. But the best response, the people that are generally successful at life, are the people that go, "Wait, I've got a problem. How do I solve it?" All right, and then now let's plan it out. Let's just start doing it, and then find our way along the way. If that plan doesn't work, I'll change it, and then I'll eventually fix this problem. So when you see, again, just look at it and go, how can I afford this? What do I do in order to get one of these in my hand? But yeah, anyhow, that's all I really want to say. I just kind of want to emphasize that point that Joe brought up, because that's super, super important. So it's a mindset that'll change your life in a direction that is positive. Because if you go the other way, right, and say, no, I'm just going to say I can't afford this and then stop there, you're directing your path in life down a negative route, because all you're doing is pointing out the negative and then doing nothing about it. But if you look at a negative thing and you can change it, you can say, okay, now I can solve this problem now that I've noticed it, right? Now your whole mental change, like everything about you is different, because now you proceed through life in a solving problem kind of mode, where you go, okay, this is a problem. How do I make it better? What do I do? And now all of a sudden your life is leading more positive results, more positive outcomes in everything that you do, because now you basically just got the key component that's required to do that. Solve problems, when you see them.
Yep. Yeah, that's good practice for a lot of things that'll come your way for the rest of your life, because we're always going to have problems. I remember it was hilarious. I was talking, I was the best man in my buddy's wedding, and they were having an argument at the reception, right? There was some kind of and the bride's dad came to me, and he was like, "Oh man, they just got married and they're already having marriage problems." And I was like, "You bet they are." And he looked at me and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, they're gonna have marriage problems. If you're married, you have marriage problems. If you're single, you have single problems. You're just gonna have problems. Like, that's the point. Isn't that you have problems. The point is that you take the time to figure it out and solve it. Like, that's the point. Like Ryan was just getting that. It's like, if you have a problem, okay, how do I fix it? And it starts with asking the question. It starts with saying, oh, this is just a problem. It's just a challenge. It is solvable. You look at it like, okay, I can solve this, or it can be solved. Maybe not by me right now, but I can learn and I can figure it out. And when you can approach things like that, that little glimmer of hope makes all the difference in the beginning. And then, yeah, Tef does not have problems. He makes problems. Good. Now we know who brings all the problems. Thanks, Tef. You've identified yourself.
Thanks for adding that into the world. This is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Because problems equals opportunity.
That's right.
Just if you can repeat that in your head, problem equals opportunity. Whenever you see a problem, just like, that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity right there. That's a good opportunity. A lot of times, the bigger the problem, the better the opportunity. So yeah.
Yep. Marhandi, you're awesome. So anyway, thank you, Sparrow, so much for the post. And yeah, you can do it. Whatever it is. Whatever you decide you want to find. Man, I love playing frisbee golf. It's a little cold out there for it now, but that's a pretty cheap hobby. If you got some courses around the area, super fun. But at any rate,
maybe invent some new kind of dishes. Maybe invent new sandwiches. People could love. There's all sorts of different hobbies.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're gonna be eating food anyways. You got to buy it anyways. So might as well.
That's
might as well just start learning how to cook it.
Yeah. I have a I always have a goal when I cook. And that is
Make
I
it
always
good. Yeah.
try to fit everything that I'm gonna eat in a meal in a dish. All of it. If I can get it mixed all together and make it taste good,
I
that's
can tell
that's
you
always my goal.
I'm pretty good at that. So if you like my main go-to is just like, all right, I've got all of these ingredients. I'm just gonna throw it in a crock pot, stir it up until it's mush, and then throw it in a burrito. And I'm like,
There
this
you
turned
go.
out so good. I love this. What is it? I don't even know. If you look at it, it just looks gross, but it's so good. And no one can see if it's in a burrito, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. That reminds me of a buddy of mine. I remember we were living at this house and we were so broke. Like we didn't have money for food or groceries or anything. We were sitting there and like we had some bread, we had a sandwich maker, right?
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden my buddy comes in the room with a sandwich.
I know. I think I know the story. I love this one.
And we're like, what is this sandwich? Like there was bread. We knew there was bread, but there was nothing to put in a sandwich. We didn't have cheese. We didn't have any meat. We didn't have anything. But he made this like grilled sandwich in a sandwich maker. We're like, what did you make a sandwich with? He's like, he sits in this dark corner. It's hilarious. He sits in the corner of the room in the dark, like in this dark corner. He's like, his answer was, "Shut up, it's good." And we're like, no, but what is it? He's like, shut up, it's good. And he's eating this sandwich and he's just like, "Ah," and we're all like super hungry, right? Because we hadn't eaten squat. And he's like, finally we get it out of him. He had made a grilled mayonnaise and ranch dressing sandwich.
No, thank you. I mean, it's edible. I would eat it, but I don't expect anyone else to. It's not up anybody's alley.
Yeah. It was like, wow. And he's like, grilled mayonnaise and ranch. But he ate the whole thing.
He's
And it was
hungry.
mostly pride because he was just like, it was so disgusting.
Yeah.
Later on, we got him to admit, man, it was so disgusting. No, no, Kendra, there was no cheese. It was just mayo and ranch on bread. Put in a grilled sandwich
And then
maker.
grill it for whatever. Like that
Grilled
doesn't help it
it.
at all.
So it was like this runny, like yeah, it was weird.
Oh, it's
It
so
was so
funny.
hilarious because he just sat there in the corner. He's like, "Shut up, it's good."
He's like trying to convince himself. And it was like, what is it? And you're like, oh, shut up, it's good. I like it. I'm gonna eat the whole thing just to prove it.
That's hilarious. Anyway, we should probably move on. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Sparrow, for your topic. I hope some of our musings were helpful for you. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
but yeah, so we've got some new topics. We've got Kendra and Cherry are both here, and
Awesome.
they
Thank you
both just
guys.
posted topics.
Thank you
And
so much.
I would think, Cherry, if it's okay, I want to do Kendra's first because it's been a while since we've done one from Kendra, and we did one from you last week. So
There'll
we'll
probably be
do.
time for you anyways, so it's just gonna be in order
I'm
thing.
sure we'll have time for both. So yeah, so we'll start with Kendra, and then move on to yours, Cherry.
Mhm.
So
Just as a side note, thanks for everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. Keep up the
yeah,
great comments, and I love reading what you guys have. You guys are so funny. I
yeah.
love your yo-yo problems, stuff. I don't remember who said it. You learned how to dodge because you were using yo-yos. Because if you don't, you get smacked in the face. That was magician gesture. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I think anyways, brilliant.
that's awesome. That's awesome. So all right. Cool. So this is from Kendra. Princess has posted the link in the chat for us, and so you can feel free to click on that, and we'll go from there. So this is called Art Stress, and it says, "Hey guys, so this is sort of a rant, and I just need to get this off my chest. I'm sorry if this is so long. Recently, I had my senior capstone review. I had to give my artist statement and show them the work I've been doing. One art piece in particular that I have more work to do on is my favorite. The colors are bright and it feels tropical and so happy. But the one thing the professor said was that it seemed to be an outlier because there were some harsher lines in the artwork than my other ones. My artist statement is about how flowers can be connected with emotions besides their color. People pass by flowers, not really giving them too much attention, and just say, "Oh, there's a pretty flower." And that's it. There's no feeling, no emotion towards them. They said that it didn't seem exactly like watercolor, and honestly, I don't think that it's a bad thing. They want the emotion from it, but they want me to keep the watercolor look to it. Some of the flowers I did uh, needed the watercolor look in order to portray the emotion, the feeling I get from the flower. The way to show happiness, pure joy, and just feeling of warmth is to not have as much watery look to it. I've already worked on the leaves a bit to look somewhat watery. I enjoyed painting these flowers, but now the more professors nag about the smallest things that don't need attention to is starting to wear me down. I've bit my tongue multiple times to keep me from giving a sassy remark. They're critiquing the work as professionals, but I'm tired of hearing the same things. They make it seem that I didn't mean to make harsher lines in a couple of my works, but I did it on purpose for a reason. That is one of the things that I'm worried about. The other thing is trying to create the frames for my artwork, and so far I have 8 pieces of artwork finished, but none framed. I have a couple more art pieces in the process. However, every time I ask my dad about the barnwood and making them, all he can say is, "Yeah, we'll get to it. I have to go to your brother's basketball game." Or, "Can you watch Brother S and take Brother N to work and pick him up, please?" The thing I need to get going on this now. The thing is, I need to get going on this now because March 26th is when the senior exhibition goes up. I don't have much time left. Not only that, but after telling my teacher Greg about using recycled barnwood, he goes and says, "Make sure that doesn't outshine the artwork," or something like that. So now I have to worry about that. I don't even know what the wood looks like yet because my dad hasn't taken me out with the trailer to get the wood. Anyways, thank you for reading this. I really needed to get this off my chest. Thank you and God bless you. And that is from Kendra. So, wow, Kendra, I hear you. There's a lot of frustration going on in there, and I it sounds to me like you're just kind of getting dealt a raw deal by a whole bunch of people, or at least it feels like that. Um, and it's not necessarily that they're doing it on purpose to make you feel that way, but it's just kind of how they're doing things, and it is, it's all kind of piling on along with the stress of knowing you have to have this done by a certain time, and the clock isn't gonna slow down. It's like happening. So I wow, I can feel your frustration, and I understand. It, and I appreciate that you took the time to type that out. And yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna hand it over to Ryan and see what he has to say about the topic. So Ryan, go
Yeah.
for it.
Once again, just like just said, thank you so much. And yeah, like sometimes you just gotta just put it all out there, all your frustrations, because that helps you deal with it better. Absolutely. Like that is so true. And you know why that is? It's really interesting. Our brains have this mechanism built in them where until we get it out into the physical world some way somehow, we we loop. We loop. We do this weird thing where it's like we think about something and then we think about it again and then we think about it again and it doesn't do anything. I do this when I write lyrics. If I'm writing a song and I realize like right now I'm stuck in my brain. I'm just doing loops in my brain. Like I'm trying to figure out some lyrics and I'm like, yeah, no, not that. And then I'm like, okay, I come up with something slightly different. I'm like, no, not that. And then I come up with something and I'm like, I already thought that once. No, not that, Ryan. Okay. Anyways. And then like I just get so distracted I can't do anything. Like my brain just starts focusing on all sorts of different things that have nothing to do with it. And like I get nothing done. As soon as I actually just start putting stuff down on paper, like I won't even be writing lyrics. I'll just be putting down like, this is what I want to get across with this section of lyrics. Like, what's the whole point of this section of my lyrics? I'll just write it out. Like, at this part, I want to get out, that they crossed the road and managed to dodge getting hit by a truck. Like, whatever. Like, that's not in any of my songs, but just putting it out there all of a sudden makes my brain go into a different mode, because now it's no longer stuck on the situation doing loops. Now it can look at something that's moving forward. It sees forward progress, and then it can go off of that. It's kind of like momentum. Once you, like, if you look at a really heavy boulder, right, and you're trying to push it, it's really hard to move, right? And it's always at a standstill unless you start pushing it. So the hardest part is pushing it. So the hardest part is always just starting, right? And that's the way it is with most things. But then once you do, it starts moving forward. So that kind of works here too. When you just put all your thoughts out there and rant, right? Suddenly your brain goes into a different mode, because now you have momentum. You have enough momentum to start actually moving, like, forward. Does that make sense? Like, you can start solving the problems now, because now you've put it out there. Now your brain is no longer stuck on it because it sees it's already moving. And now you can start solving the problem. I think sometimes we just have to do that. So I think it's really cool that you allowed us to experience that. You got a lot of difficult things going on here, right? And it's one of those things that's so funny, because there's never going to be a point where you display your art to your teacher and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. And if they do, they're wrong, because there's no such thing as perfection in art, especially when you are trying to do something that's personal, that relates to you and your emotions. You're your own human being, right? So of course they're going to say, oh, well, and you need to change this. Here's the thing. If you go to your teacher with art, it's their job to tell you what's wrong with it or what could be done better, because their job is to make you be better. So they're going to point out where you can be better. Does that make sense? So sometimes when people do that to you, you kind of just have to, like, let it go in one ear and out the other. I don't mean to be like, don't do that to be rude, of course. And don't do that to say their words mean nothing. But for your own sake, so that you don't get upset about it, right? Sometimes you just have to go, okay, cool. Like, because you understand, they're just trying to make you a better, stronger artist, right? And so that's because that's their job, and they're gonna tell you everything that's wrong with your art. They're gonna tell you what you need to do to make it better, because that's their job. So you just have to kind of, like, bear with it. It's like, okay, you're right. Well, there's not much I can do about it now. It's already painted. What do I do? Add more water? What do you want me to, like, throw it into a pool and pull it out? Like, that'll add some water to it. No, obviously you don't want to be, don't want to do that. And I'm only joking. You don't want to be snippy with people, right? You want to be tactful, you want to be kind, you want to be loving, right? And I think their approach, they're not necessarily thinking about you and hurting your emotions or hurting your feelings. They're not trying to, right? They're just trying to go forward with their own lives. And some of them are really thinking the best for you. They just really want to help. And it can be hard. It can be hard to say, like, especially with art, people, like, this is normal for people to get so caught up in their own art and what they've created. When someone criticizes it, it feels like that person is criticizing who they are inside, right?
Right.
And that's pretty normal, especially for artists, but musicians especially as well. Oh man, musicians are slightly different, because if you upset an artist, they're gonna get mad at you and they're gonna tell you. A musician will break your stuff. No, that's not true. Not all of them. Some of them will, though. Artists are generally more cool-headed. I don't know why. I feel that way anyways. Like, they get mad, they get more angry faster, but, like, it never results in something. Musicians go nuts, I feel. I don't know.
What if you're an artist and a musician?
Huh?
What if you're an artist and a musician?
I hope that you've just kind of figured out how to I just, like, hope you figured out how to control yourself, I guess. Here's the thing. This is something that really helped me in this whole field. When Joe and I first started writing our first album together, we had a conversation before we even started, and it was something to the effect of, hey, we're going to be working together. And so there are going to be times when I ask for your help at things, and there are going to be times when you ask for my help, or I'm going to listen to your song or you're going to listen to my song, either way. And we're going to notice something like that can change to make the piece better.
Mm.
And the whole point is to make the song a better song. It has nothing to do with you as an individual for how good you make music. It's solely just for the fact that we want the song to be the best song possible for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember having that conversation, and it was basically like, we got to leave our egos at the door so that we don't slow ourselves down from what we're capable of, because we know we're more powerful when we work together.
Yeah.
We're more powerful when we can learn from each other and use each other's knowledge to write music that's just way better, right? So I remember having that discussion, and that helped me so much, because at that point I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And so then whenever any period of time came when I was like, you know, if he had something to say about my piece, I knew it was okay, because Joe was never trying to make fun of me. He was never trying to one up me. He was never trying to show me where I was wrong. He was only trying to show where it could be even better. Because he always said, this is so good. This is so good. And I
Well,
believed
they
him,
always
right?
were
Because he
good.
wasn't going to lie, and it can be even better. That's cool. I want that. I want that. Tell me what it is, right? It helped me so much. And so sometimes we have to take that same approach to people we don't know, and just understand they're criticizing either, yes, if they're trying to be mean, then they're just trying to be mean. You don't have to listen to them.
Yeah.
But if they're a teacher, they're probably not trying to be mean. This is probably just their job, right? To try to make you a better artist, right? That's what you pay them for. And so they have to do that.
Right.
So sometimes you just gotta have to remember, like, I gotta leave my ego at the door. Their words are not like, yeah, they're asking me things that, like, I did this for a reason and they don't understand it. That's okay, right? He said, they told me, though, I should leave it out of the show because they say it doesn't seem like it goes with the rest. All right. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Sometimes that happens. There are songs that I write, I'm just like, this doesn't work. I throw it out the window. Joe was just talking about that. He was reading, like, sometimes I write a song and I play around with it for like 2 months, and I'm like, man, no, I just got to completely rewrite this whole thing from scratch. Here's the beautiful thing, Kendra. Whenever I write a song, even if I don't end up using it, one, that was good experience, and two, I usually end up using it later. I write a song for something, and then, like, a year later, I'm like, I go back into my, like, song records and I pull this one out, and I'm like, yeah, I started this one forever ago. Let's finish it. Or this one's already done. It's been sitting here for like a year doing nothing. 2 years, 3 years. I'm like, all right, let's do something with it. Right? Let's throw it in some, like, I've reused songs for, like, background music for my videos. I've reused songs, like, I wrote years ago for, like, other people's stuff. I'm like, yeah, I got something for that. Here you go. I'll throw this at you, right? And it works. So you've already done the job, right? If they don't want that piece in there, you can say, okay, I'll keep it for myself. I'll use it for my own thing later. And then you can take your time and do something else. Now, of course, I know you don't have all the time in the world, and you're trying to get something done. You don't have a whole lot of time. But what you can do is you can make a new picture, right? As quick as you can, and try to just follow what it seems like the teacher wants you to do to the best of your ability. Even if the piece doesn't mean as much to you. If it works better for them, it works better for them. It works better for your grade. It works better for the situation going on, right? The other piece will always have more meaning to you, and that's fine. and you can reuse that later, and you can be like, this is such a better place for this anyways. Trust me, it will be. Because if they don't want it in there, it's not going to be like super awesome for it to be there, because that will be, you'll always remember like, oh, it's with the everybody else's stuff, and mine's the one that the teacher doesn't like. Like, you're going to be looking at the piece like that, and that's not healthy. It's better just take that picture, set it aside for a different thing later, and just paint something new if you have the time, if you can do that. Now I understand you are running in some time constraints, so just pull something together real fast. Even if it's like, I don't even have any emotion in this, it's just kind of like, that's what the teacher wants, right? And while that feels kind of dull, at the same time, you're still learning stuff. I've done that before. I've had to do that before. I started writing a piece. I'm like, man, this is awesome. I really like this. I really like this. This is going exactly like, what I think this person wants. I'm like, this is really cool. I'm enjoying this song. And then I go to the other person. They're like, yeah, that's not really what I wanted. Could you like do something different? Like, that's not like what I was asking for. And I'm like, okay. And then I have to start a whole new song. And then I write a whole new song, and they're like, yeah, this is so good. And I'm like, you think it's good? Okay, whatever. I guess I'm way more for the other piece I wrote.
Yeah.
But guess what? When I was writing that piece for them that fit their tastes more, I learned probably more, because I was writing something different than I was expecting. I was forced to put myself in a different position, try something I haven't tried before, or practice something I'm not used to practicing, because they're asking for something I don't usually want to do. But what that does is it makes me more talented in that field and more able to do it later with joy, because now I can take that and go, okay, this stuff is easy for me now. It used to be annoying. I used to hate it, but now I can do it. It's not a big deal. And I kind of like it now. Even though, yeah, it's not necessarily my normal, like how I would normally write a song, I can totally do it. And you know what? I'm impressed with it. I'm fine with it. I think it sounds great. So anyways, those are some thoughts for you on that. As for getting the wood and all that kind of stuff, I don't know. Sometimes you have to be proactive. Sometimes you just have to nag a bunch. I mean, that's unfortunate, right? You don't want to be that person. And it stinks, but I don't know. If you can find your time just to really talk to your dad about it and be like, hey, like, I really do need this because I'm running out of time. Could you please, please, please help me? You know, maybe that'll get you somewhere. But if you've probably already done that, I don't know. Last case scenario, or worst case scenario, you can try to buy something. Obviously, it's more expensive. Or you can, that's something interesting. You can buy frames that are like, if you can just Google this. You can buy picture frames that are really cheap, like the cheapest picture frames you can buy, and then doctor them up. I've seen people do it. It's really cool. They'll take pictures and then they'll just like throw like, it's so weird, like talcum powder or something on it. I don't even know what it is, like dust all over it. And then they'll like wipe it down and then do it again, and then like put acid on the wood and destroy it a bit in places. And like they go through a process, and it's art, and it gets done and it looks like 200 times better and weird. Like that used to be like a ugly wooden frame, like super plain, super normal. And now it's this like rustic, beautiful piece of work that looks like you pulled this out of an antique shop. Looks so good, you know? And yeah, it's just visual magic, if you will.
Yeah.
So anyways, worst case scenario, you can be like, all right, I can't use the barnwood. I don't have enough time. I'm gonna go buy something. I'm gonna go doctor it up with some chemicals. I'm gonna like give some wood an acid bath, and then I'm gonna paint it with like spray paint. I don't know, like whatever. Look up some videos about it. And you'll find like you can probably make a really nice frame for like $10 or less. If if you figure it out how to do that. I'm sure that's possible.
Yeah.
Anyways, I know I've talked for quite a while, and I'm gonna go ahead and give it over to Joe.
I like your comment there, Kendra. I should just paint a dead flower.
Yeah, they'd probably like that.
Just gotta stick it to them.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
I
then
think
some dirt and be like, that's a really dead flower because it's already completely gone and decayed.
yeah. Well, Kendra, I am gonna go right along with what Ryan said, and like these people that are saying this about your art, they're just, I mean, first of all, it's art. So art is so subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Art, music, all of the arts,
Mm-hmm.
dance,
Dance.
musicals, film, movie, TV, all these different forms of art. They everything is so subjective. And that's why there's such a variety out there. And so because some people like certain things, some people don't like other things. And so what you have here is you have professors that they're expressing their opinions on they're trying to be helpful. They're trying to help guide you, like Ryan was saying. They're trying to move you in a direction that they believe is going to be helpful. But some of this, their opinion is going to leak through. Their subjective feeling about what constitutes a certain kind of artwork and what doesn't, that their opinion is just going to shine through there. Ryan mentioned something about how we had a conversation before we worked on a project, and he talked about how I was encouraging during, anytime we were talking about stuff. Really, the reason that Ryan had that experience with me is because I had read dozens of books on people skills.
Mm-hmm.
Because before that, man, if I had an opinion about it, I would tell it just blunt, straight up, But I had learned partially through dealing with musicians for a while, but mostly because I had read books on people skills. So I knew how to kind of package a statement about something. So it wasn't going to hurt his feelings. I wasn't going to damage his ego. It was going to be encouraging and then also work toward getting the solution in place. And that only came through, just study on how people are. I'm pretty sure most professors have not read a lot of books on people skills. I know the professors I had in college, no. Some of them were good with people.
I had one. So all my teachers I've ever had, which are quite a few, and like probably like 30 something or more, I had one teacher that actually did. He's like, oh yeah, I read that book, How to Influence and Influence People. It's a great book. I recommend it. I'm like, dude, you're an awesome teacher. And I'm like, no wonder you're so good and your kids love you. Like everyone loved that teacher.
Yeah. It's
because he understood how to talk to people.
Right. There is an art to dealing with people.
There is, yes.
And there's a lot of information about there that can help with that. But so probably what's happening is that we're all a little rough around the edges when it comes to dealing with people. Very few of us are just naturally good encouragers. And a lot of times that's what you're running into, is you just dealing with somebody who may be a little bit abrasive. Couple that with the fact that I saw in the chat that you said they're getting rid of this program at the school there. So there might be some added strain on them due to that. I mean, anytime a professor's dealing with the fact that, this whole program is getting cut, what does that mean for me? What does that mean for my career? What does that mean for, my course load? Maybe they're tenured, so they're not going to lose their job, but it's going to change the way they do things, So, it's very interesting to me that they're coming at it this way. Here's some things to kind of tuck in the back of your brain. One is that, when you study art history. right? And you look at how art changed throughout the centuries. And, there's different periods. There's Impressionist, there's the Renaissance, there's all kinds of different types of art that are out there.
Oh, geez, there's icons, which people don't even people look at that art and be like, what is that?
Yeah. It's crazy.
Why are they like that? Why are their heads so weird? It's like, it's iconography.
Okay. Oh, Kendra says they're just getting rid of the art major. Okay, gotcha. But at any rate, all of the times when people, like, you saw a change in that was somebody doing something new and different. And you know what all the scholarly experts said at the time? They all had an opinion about it that wasn't favorable. What's the statement I heard? Nothing is more solid than the ignorance of an expert. So when you're dealing with an expert in any field, they are an expert in this niche of things. And when something comes about that's abnormal or maybe revolutionary, they're going to look at it like it's, mm-hmm. They're going to be like, that's not the way it's supposed to be done. To all the people who studied Bach for a long, long time, when Beethoven came out, they hated it because it was different. And then moving on from there, what do you think all the people who listened to music before rock and roll, then all of a sudden rock and roll came out? Oh my gosh, and it was the devil, right?
Right. That's right.
Then grunge comes out and it's like, oh my gosh, and then all this different alternative and then power metal and all these different things, right? But people get an idea of how something's supposed to be, and then it changes and progress happens and somebody comes up with something new, and the person who's stuck in that old way of thinking automatically says it's bad. And you know what? That's just an opinion. And they are a person just like everybody else. And they have an opinion just like everybody else. And whether their opinion is right or wrong, who knows? When I would write music in the past, I wanted everybody to like it. And it bothered me when there were people that didn't like it. But you know what? Now, I have a Spotify account and I get new music every week that I'd never heard of before. And some of it I like and some of it I don't like. And I realize it's just my opinion. It's just stuff I like and what I don't like. Why do I think that my music would be any different? That there going to be people that like it. There are going to be people that don't like it. And who cares? I guess I didn't write it for the people who didn't like it, right? But in this regard, I don't know. Part of me says, I guess it depends on how much authority the professor has on what goes into the exhibit. Because if your exhibit is you have to give your artist statement and show them the work that you've been doing, right? That's the whole point of the exhibit that you're putting together. It's your stuff. It's the stuff that you've been working on, right? I would put that painting in there that they don't like, just a thumb there, yeah. There it is. This is me. This is what I've been working on. Your opinion, it's what it is. Hey, whatever. I don't care. Part of me says that, it was just like, I'm just gonna put it out there, and they're not gonna like it, and who cares?
Yeah, I mean,
They
if yeah, I was assuming the teacher just had the authority to say no, but at the same time, if he doesn't, and you can just put whatever you want in there, yeah, absolutely, just put that in there and be like, deal with it.
yeah,
That's what I did.
this is what I've been working on. I did that on purpose. It wasn't a mistake. That's what you said. You were talking about how, you've had harsher lines than some other ones, and you did that on purpose. Now, if they're just giving you an idea of, okay, well, this is just what's aesthetically pleasing. We want everything to kind of go together and stuff like that. You can be like, hey, that's great. I appreciate your input. But this is the stuff I wanted to work. This is the stuff I've been working on. So if you get to be the one in charge of putting your exhibit together, then why not? If you think it's going to give you a bad grade, then I don't know. How important is it that you get a good grade? A teacher is going to make you think that this is the make or break, end of the world thing that's going on. Like, this is it, man. Like, my brother wrote a senior thesis and all this stuff. Like, when he got his master's degree and all that stuff, he had this thesis. I don't even remember what it was about. But, well, okay. There was a friend of mine got a PhD, and he had his senior thesis, and it was about some obscure. He's a literature major because he's going to be a literature professor, and so he did his senior thesis on like early American writing, Native American writing from the year
Really?
1811 to 1830 or something like that. So it was like this little tiny little slice of literature and this little tiny niche of things, right? And I'm sure his professors made him believe this is going to be the make or break everything. This is everything. This is so important. Like when we were in high school, they were like, if you don't pass the ACT, your life is ruined.
That's right. I remember that.
Oh my gosh, this is the most important thing you've ever done. The ACT is everything. It's not everything.
I thought about
In
the
their
ACT
world,
forever.
it's important. But in the real world, I don't know. To me, I'm like, there's so much more to the world. And what Ryan was talking about is super important. One of the things that I really latched onto was when he was talking about his friend he was doing music for. He didn't really like the one he was working on that he liked, but he really liked this other one. And the experience gained is what was really important. And that's what's going to be important here. Your grade, yeah, it might have some importance, but what's more important is the experience you get. And if you put this out there and it gets a really bad reception from everybody, then you gain some experience. Hey, cool. Or if you decide that you're not going to put it in there and you put something else in there, you gain more experience as well. So no matter what route you take here, you're going to gain some experience. If you draw a dead flower and just throw it in there just to spite them, you're going to gain some experience. And you might have a little bit of fun, because you'll be like, hey, here you go. Didn't like what I did before. How's this? So there's all kinds of things. But no matter what happens throughout this whole thing, you are going to come out gaining something regardless of the outcome. So in this case, I'd say do what your heart tells you to do. Why not? See what happens. Never hurts to mix up the pot a little bit. Rock the boat, whatever you want, whatever analogy you want to use.
I prefer shake the maraca. Sounds
Shake the maracas.
cool when you do it.
It does. But the maracas are never a principal instrument. They're always in the background.
I'll change that.
Okay, you do. You do
Yeah,
that.
no, I won't.
And then as far as your dad's concerned, I would say, he's sounds to me like your dad's got a lot going on his plate and he's trying to
Yeah.
coordinate everybody's stuff. And so you're just kind of getting pushed to the side, and that can be painful. But I'm sure he doesn't mean to do it. I'm sure it's just he's trying to juggle all this stuff, and trying to keep everything in order, and it's just one of those things. So you might have to, like Ryan was saying, you might have to be a little bit assertive and say, hey, this has got to get done. Is there any way that I can do it without you? Maybe you can just let me know where this stuff is and I can just go get it.
Right.
Because I don't want, I understand you're busy. I understand you got a lot going on, and I don't,
Yeah, I don't mean to take away from what you got going on because it's a lot.
right. And I don't want to be a burden to you, but is there a way that I can, but I really need this because it's coming up, so can I get some help? Or can you just let me know where to go get it? But that might be a route you can take. And then a lot of times what will happen is when you do that, that springs into action the
Yeah.
actual thing you needed to happen. Because what you're doing is you're suggesting, hey, I want to take this off your plate, but it needs to get done. And I'm sorry about that. And I know that you've got a lot of stuff going on. But what happens is 9 times out of 10, that person, like, they just find the time to do it. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's so true. It's so true.
So anyway, but so Kendra, I love you, and I I hope you know that. And uh your art that you've posted at bss.studio, I love it also, and I really appreciate your contributions. And so many things. There's so many different avenues you can take with art. And yeah, I'm super excited to see where you go with it. I'm super excited to hear how this particular situation ends up. And just remember, the point of art is to it's to give something of beauty to the world. It's to move people emotionally through what they see. And that's a gift. And your job as an artist is to continue giving that gift to the world. And if that means trying some new stuff and putting some harsher lines on something to get a different type of effect, that might be a little bit off-putting to some people, but it might be something, oh my gosh, other people are going to look at that and they're going to be like, it's genius. It's all subjective. And to some people, it's beautiful. To some people, it's not. I just am impressed with the fact that you do it, that you can do it, and that you continue to do it. And I hope that some of that is helpful. But that's about all I have. Ryan, do you have anything else on this one?
Nope, I think that about covers it. Thank you for allowing us to talk about this. And we hope that helps move in some direction. We know that you kind of already had everything figured out, everything you wanted to do, but yeah, it's still a good topic to talk about. Everyone has problems like this. Sometimes life can be annoying, and sometimes people can just be untactful, and you got to realize they don't mean to be, But so yeah, it's good. Thank you so much, and yeah, I'm ready for the next topic then.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you again, Kendra. You're awesome. And man, I wish you the best for this. This is it's going to be cool. But all right. So we got time to do cherries.
Yeah.
So we're going to do cherries. Cherry is going by the name April at bss.studio now. Cherry goes by many names. But yeah, let's see. Princess just posted the link. Cherry, are you still here?
Yeah, they posted not too long ago.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a
Um,
post a little bit up there, but
they were joining in all the puns that
oh
are going
yes.
on in chat right now.
You guys are
Yep,
punny
they're there.
people. All
Uh-huh.
right. All right, Cherry. So this is called Against Instinct. And it goes like this. I've been able to manage remaining happy. It is an amazing feeling, and I plan on trying my hardest to maintain it. However, my emotional instinct seems to want to go against it. First of all, I do all my final classes work 1 month in advance so that I have the rest of the month to just sleep and relax. But the school has pretty much every website blocked, so there's next to nothing for me to do other than look at Google Maps and Street View, which I find pretty fun.
Yeah.
So that goes to show how many options I have of things to do in that class. Anyways, I mostly sleep because who wouldn't sleep in a class where you basically have nothing to do? I kept having those dreams where you jump awake, and every time I'd jump awake, I'd instinctively fling the keyboard in front of me into the monitor since I was at a desktop. This happened quite a few times until eventually I was like, okay, fine. If you want to play that way and push the keyboard to the side. Then it stopped, and I was finally able to get to rest. Anyways, that was a completely different side story that is somewhat related to the post that I thought people might enjoy. I figured out the key to maintaining my happiness. Ooh, it's living in the moment. Living in the moment and thinking about now. Doing things for now and not thinking ahead or behind me is how I'm going to keep this happiness. Of course, I still have plans for the future, naturally, but thinking about it too much and thinking about the past too much and prioritizing it over the present seems to be what
Makes
makes
me
me so
so.
unhealthy in the terms of other people. It makes me realize what I don't have or how far I have to go, which then hurts me emotionally, making me act out of sadness that I may never even reach it, as my mind asks, so then what's the point of anything? Luckily, I've mostly been able to live in the present and be here now, but it's been a struggle. My mind tries to convince me that it'd be easier to just revert back to longing for the past, and future instead of living in the moment. But I also know that it'd be much more rewarding to continue living in the moment and learning how to maintain and regain that feeling of innocence. In the day, it's easy for me to live in the moment when I'm out and around other people or just exploring and outside. I even got a bike recently and have been riding it everywhere with every chance I get because I love being outside, especially at this time of year around spring and summer, which are my favorite months. But at night, the thoughts that try to convince me to just give up trying to fight for my happiness haunt me until the morning brings its light. How do I fight this instinct of giving in to those thoughts, of giving up this fight for happiness? And that is from Cherry, who goes by April in this post. So wow, I think you're onto something. Living in the present definitely is a good way to be. Now, yes, plan for the future, look to the future, dream, you know, all that. It's wonderful. But yeah, our lives are now. And to be here, to be present is a great thing. And it definitely helps when you're dealing with other people to be present. But yeah, I understand when you're by yourself and it's the quiet times, the quiet moments. How do you keep that vigilant, that maintaining being here in the present? That's a really good question. And I think there are times for looking ahead. I think there are times for looking behind and reflecting on stuff. But yeah, one thing I think that's, good to remember is that the past is something we can learn from. The future is something we can look forward to. But right now is where our life is. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan. And
Mm.
hear what he has to say. So, Ryan,
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for this, Cherry. You're awesome. And thanks for that as well, Joe. Gave me time to think about some stuff. And it is like you say, you got to look to the future, got to study the past. The moment is where everything is decided, because in that moment is where you make your future, right? In that moment is when you decide to move beyond your past or learn from your past. In that moment is the only thing you can control. Um, as and you can't even control all of it, right? You can only control some of it, you know? Sometimes you have these weird thoughts. Let me tell you something. Everybody has these thoughts. Everybody in the world has weird thoughts that come into their brain sometimes and just like, why did I think that? That was stupid. Or why did I do that? That was a waste of time to like think about that for like 2 hours straight for no reason. You know? That we all do that. Um and sometimes sometimes that happens and it's all right. But if it's happening every night or whatever, well, here's some things that I find helpful. Your mind at the end of the day, right, is going to be at a reflective stage.
Hmm.
It kind of wants to, like, it's coming to a close. It's tired, but at the same time, there's nothing physical to do to keep you active. There's nothing really mental to do to keep you active. There can be. You can start like coming up with. I've tried this. This is not good. You can come up with math problems or math equations. Like, wow, what if this was the scenario? What kind of function would I have to create in my head in order to like figure out what the numbers would be here? Okay, I've done that, and that can be like just keep me up for hours. So I don't know if that puts you to sleep, go for it. But for me, for some reason, I'm like, man, I gotta figure that out. Hold on, let me get my phone. I gotta calculate this. All right. So here's the thing. You can think of things in your head, right, that are like exercises or mental game plans, like, oh, how do I want to do this better? That stuff's cool, but you don't always have that, right? You don't always have something good to think about, right? So what do you do? Um, Now, I've got a couple suggestions. The first one I'm going to list is, Cherry. I know you said in the past, you are a Christian, you believe in God. So here's a tip: pray. Pray during that time. Just you know, why you as soon as you get into bed and you go, oh wait, yeah, I'm sitting in bed and I'm doing nothing. Just like me, Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, Amen, or whatever. How you want to start your prayer, and you just go, pray and let your mind do whatever it's going to do, because you're not going to be able to be in prayer for that like a half an hour straight. Trust me, if you're just starting this, you're not going to be very good at it. That's the way it is with everything. Prayer is a talent. But what it will do, which is really cool, what it does for me a lot of times, is it keeps my thoughts in a right order. It keeps my mind rightly ordered towards reality and good and holiness and things like that. So while I'm sitting there doing nothing, right? Because I'm talking to God, my mind is automatically going to um, float towards the good, not the bad. My mind is going to float, just kind of guide itself, because when you talk to God, you don't your intention isn't like, okay, now let's think about all the evil stuff I can possibly think about and like dwell on it, and a lot of times, no, that's not the case. When we think of God, we're in the presence of something holy, and we're in presence of something that gives forgiveness and things like that, right? So we naturally kind of are guided in our thought patterns when we pray. So that's my first suggestion. And that's one of the most helpful things that I've experienced when it comes to things like this. Whenever you're just like laying there in bed and you're like, man, I don't really want to think about that. Um, or it would be a waste of time to think about that. Or I've been thinking about that too much. I just need to get my mind off of it. If I go into prayer, I start praying, God, that helps so much. It just starts moving me in the right direction. It starts moving in a direction that is more rightly ordered, if that makes sense. Um, that a lot of times you don't really try to do evil things while you're in prayer. A lot of times you avoid it naturally, right? So anyways, that's that. That's my first suggestion, and probably my best suggestion. Um, in in those hours, when you're just like, I've got nothing to do, what do I do? And you can do this in public too. You can do it in class, like you were just talking about. You can pretend to sleep if you want. You just lay your head down and start praying. Put your mind in a rightly ordered fashion towards reality. I think that helps a lot. It gives your mind something good to contemplate, and contemplating even the bad things in a good way. Anyways, moving on. Another suggestion is practicing. Now, this is hard, but practicing reflection. Because a lot of times when right, you have like this emotional instinct, you call it. You have this emotional habit. You have this habit. And it's in your subconscious mind. It's kind of ingrained because you've lived for so many years. And so many of those years you've had to deal with yourself, right? And so many of those years you've programmed yourself to think certain ways, right? And you're trying to fix that. And so you have to create new habits. One of those things is how you reflect. How you're everyone has an ability to reflect. And reflecting is, again, one of those talents, but it's naturally guided by our subconscious mind. The way we perceive the world guides our reflection, and our habits also guide our reflection. So, if you can take the time to reflect in a positive environment, going like, okay, I'm going to reflect and I'm going to keep it positive. I'm going to reflect. I'm going to think about something that maybe is negative and I'm going to I'm going to do my best to put a positive spin on it. And you give yourself that exercise often. Okay. Sounds weird, but if you give yourself that exercise often, you think about something that you do not like, you think about something that is a bad scenario for you in the past, and then you reflect on it saying, what good is there in that? I will find it. I will find it. And then you look for it. Or what can I learn from this? What can I not? What could I have done better? Like, oh man, I messed that up. What should I have done? Yeah, you can look at like, what should I have done? That will prepare you for next time. But also look for, and what good came out of that failure? Because something always good can. Something good can always come out of those things. So by putting a positive spin on your bad thoughts, then if you create a habit out of that, you basically just go into it at any moment in the day. You have time, you create that scenario. You're like, I've got a bad thought. Okay, what's my bad thought? All right, my bad thought is going to be, I don't know, dinosaurs are extinct now. Oh man, right? Okay, why'd that have to happen? That stinks. Well, then you think about it for a while and you're like, okay, it's actually probably pretty good that dinosaurs aren't extinct or are extinct, because we would not fare very well against dinosaurs. But anyways, I don't know. You create a problem in your head and then you solve it. You create a habit of doing that, right? Create a habit of putting a positive spin, finding the positive in the negative. And what you're going to find yourself doing then is at night, when you get that emotional instinct, as you call it, when you get that instinct to have like these bad thoughts, your subconscious mind is instantly going to find a positive spin on it as fast as it can come up with one. And then guess what? Then that negative thought is no longer negative. You're just like, yeah, actually, that's cool. And then you move on. And it's like not an issue anymore. Like your brain doesn't like dwell on it after that point, because you're just like, oh yeah, problem solved. That was cool. Yeah. All right. Next thought. What is it? you know? Um, Personally, that helped me a lot. So creating habits, putting a positive spin on every negative thing you can. Yes, there are things in the world that are just negative, but there's almost always good. If you can seek that out, your brain will get a lot better at it. And so when you have those thoughts, you're going to be really quick to just getting over them, because that's really all you can do. When you have those thoughts, all you can do is just try to get over them. That's it, until they stop coming. Until they stop coming, the best thing you can do is just get over them. And the fastest way to get over them is to have positive reinforcement. And you program that in yourself. So yeah. Take time during the day when you're in class, sleeping, you can pray. That helps with this positive reinforcement. But also, like when you sit there at night and Or when you sit there in class or you're bored, you're just like, okay, I'm going to think of something that really ticks me off. I'm going to think about a scenario that happened a long time ago that was not right. It was not okay. But I'm going to put a positive spin on it. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to look at it from a different perspective. I'm going to look at that and say, yeah, but what good came out of it? And there is something good there. There always is. Who am I today? That's always a good one, because you're awesome, Jerry. That's who you are.
Yeah.
You're amazing. And you've come so far from what you had to deal with. Like, seriously. Don't discredit yourself. You're awesome, dude. You've come so far. So yeah. Anyways, that's what I got. Go for it, Joe.
Well, thanks, Ryan, and thank you, Cherry, for the topic. One thing that was coming to mind as Ryan was talking was, he was talking a lot about prayer, and I think that's a really important thing. I know that's one of the things that I do a lot, especially in those moments where, I'm tired or I'm stressed or I'm feeling like the past is weighing me down or the future's weighing me down or anything like that. And, you know, prayer has been such an ally for me. But then I'm like, there are probably people here who are agnostic or atheists, and maybe they don't believe in God, and maybe prayer to them just seems like such a foreign thing. And one of the things that's very interesting is, I listen to how I have prayed in the past and how I still tend to a lot of times. A lot of times I just talk, not out loud, but in my head,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just say things. I'll just be talking to God. I'll be asking and telling and, you know, relating experience and asking and pleading and adoring and all that stuff, right? But it's me just like saying things. And I I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time just sitting there listening, if you will. And I had that brought up to me by a friend of mine recently about listening when you're in prayer and learning how to do that. And it's so strange. It's a hard thing to do if you've never done it before. You
Right.
just kind of sit there and listen. And it's weird. But one of the things that, I'm not necessarily okay. I don't want this to be just one big, huge talk about prayer, although that's important. One thing that came to mind is that when I'm there in that silent moment, when I'm not saying something, one of the things that's helped me out is to try to consciously fill my heart with love. And just to think about, okay, I'm going to fill myself with love right now. And you know what's amazing? When you do that, you start to feel different. When you take hold of yourself, you're like, I'm going to love. And in the moments of prayer, it's like I'm going to fill myself with love for God. And I'm going to experience an exchange of love back and forth with God, my creator. But it doesn't just have to be God. I can fill my heart with love for other people. I can fill my heart with love for experiences I've had, even hard ones that were painful at the time, but I learned so much from. I can fill myself with love for, somebody that I'm having a particularly difficult time with. And it's amazing how there's a peace that comes. And amazingly enough, the thing that really, really caught me off guard is you do feel it in this area of your body. Like it starts in this area, like in the middle of your chest. And I don't know if that's just a subconscious thing. Like I've just told myself that I'm doing this in my heart. And so I naturally, I think I feel it in my heart, but really there's like a physical feeling, and then it radiates throughout. There's like this warmth that radiates throughout the rest of my body and out to my limbs, and it's amazing. So
I
for
think
someone who doesn't, what's that?
for me, I absolutely agree with that. It's so strange. But in addition, for me, it's my face as well.
Oh yeah,
I feel in my face and my heart.
yeah. You get a tingle, a
Yeah.
face tingle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is different than the rear end tingle that you get from listening to the bass drum.
Oh yeah. That's more like a jiggle.
That's
Sorry. Anyways, go on.
Yep. That's what I had a percussion instructor one time that said drums are so cool, man, because it gets your mojo going and makes your butt tingle. Like, that's not what we're talking about here. But at any rate, in those quiet moments, even if you don't believe in God, you can still love. You can still consciously love. Say, I'm going to fill myself with love. You can do the same thing with hate. A lot of times we don't consciously say to ourselves, I'm going to fill myself with hate. But there was a movie that I saw one time where there was a particularly strainful moment for this character in this movie. And he said with all this passion, he said, I have filled my heart with hate. And to me, that exposed our responsibility with our emotions and our ability to control our emotions, because we can decide whether we're going to love or whether we're going to hate. And man, love just feels so much more better. It makes things go so much more smoothly. There's peace. And that's really, I mean, like if you had the choice of being like upset and depressed and painful and all this stuff, if you had the choice between that and being at peace and happy and restful and joyful, what would you choose? Deep down inside, most of us, I think, would say, I would rather be at peace and happy and content and joyful rather than in pain and sad and depressed and angry and all that, right? Now, there are moments when I get angry and I'm glad I'm angry.
You're all fired up.
Yeah, I'm mad about it. But those, you can channel that emotion into something positive. You totally can. And so that's what you have to think of. What's the end here that I'm going after? Am I and am I going about this in a way that's bad? Like, are the means that I'm going about this going to be bad too? So just to be on the safe side, check yourself. Say, who am I loving right now? Do I have love in my heart for someone right now?
Thanks, Akil.
Yes, Akil, thank
Absolutely.
you. That's exactly right. I'm angry. I will be productive, man. That is, I've been there many many times, and it works sometimes.
And it works. I've been in many times, and it works sometimes.
Yes. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it's just the anger becomes a distraction. But a lot of times anger can spur you on to be productive. But at any rate, take that time in those quiet moments. Try it. Try it. Try saying to yourself, I am going to love. I'm going to fill myself with love. I'm not just going to say I love this person. I'm going to actually fill my heart with love. And it might take some practice at first, but what you're going to discover, if if you discover the same thing that I did by learning it, by doing this, is that there's such an enormous peace and contentment that comes along with that. No matter what you might be going through, no matter the pain or the hardship, because sometimes right now we're talking about living in the now. Sometimes right now sucks when you're going through a bad experience. If you've been there before, I know that sometimes right now it can really, really be awful. I remember one time I called Ryan because I didn't have anything better to do.
Really?
Because, well, yeah, when I tell you what was going on, you'll remember,
Okay.
I'm sure. I was waiting for a tow truck
Oh.
because I was doing an inspection and there was this long driveway and it was springtime. It was muddy.
Mm-hmm.
And I got my car so stuck in the mud, and I was like probably 200 feet from the road. So I was like way back in this long
Wow.
driveway.
Yeah.
And I was so stuck. And I'd called a tow truck. I'd, done my little thing and gotten the tow truck on the way. And then I was just sitting there and it sucked because I was like, I've got all this other work that's not going to happen today that I was supposed to get done today. And I'm just stuck. There's nothing else I can do. And I remember making the choice. I was like, I could be stressed about this. I could be really upset. But I called Ryan instead.
And he yelled at me. No.
No, I don't think I yelled at you.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
I think we laughed about it though.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah. We laughed
Yep.
about it. Yeah. Sound like, man, I've been there.
Yep.
Because I had.
Yeah, I know. I totally know. But yeah, so at some point it's gonna suck. But in those moments, if you can remember, hey, I want to fill my heart with love right now. I'm gonna love what's going on. In that situation that was terrible, that I was stuck in the mud, I looked around and I was in basically this field, and the sky was beautiful. The trees around were beautiful. It was kind of chilly. It was like a chilly spring day, but the sun was out, or the sun had been out. It was getting late in the afternoon and it was kind of tucked behind some clouds, but it was just beautiful. And I was remembering that beauty. I was like, I'm forced to kind of take in this beauty because what else am I going to do? Right. So, Cherry, like Ryan said, I'm so impressed with you. Just to see the level of your growth from the first few posts that we were handling from you and to now, and it's a beautiful thing to see. Like you,
Yeah.
you've grown.
For real.
You've absolutely grown,
Yeah.
and it shows in your posts.
You have a lot to be proud of for sure.
Yep. And I'll tell you, try that. Try loving. Try actively loving. Like making the conscious effort to love. And I would say if you pray, direct that love to God and see what happens. That's pretty astounding. And if you don't believe in God, just love what's around you. And yeah, you'll see. It makes a difference. It really does. So anyway, that's what I got. Wow, Akil, thank you. Grow is a good song.
Yeah, it actually is. That's why I gave a thumbs up. Like, it's true. I love that song. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Should go listen to that one.
I listened to
Yeah,
it the other day.
it's a good
It
one.
was one of those reminiscing times.
Yeah. Well, I remember being stuck in mud, in the snow too. I remember being stuck with the car and having to call a tow truck many times. It's just what you had to experience when you do drive around all day, And pretty much every time I got stuck, I'm like, man, I am glad I'm me. And I actually meant it. It wasn't like sarcastic. It was like, man, I'm glad it's me in this position, because there's so many other people out there with more important things to do than this. Get stuck in the mud. And there's so many other people out there who cannot handle this. They will freak out and they don't know how to take it easy and just relax and wait. There's so many people out there who I'd rather not see stuck in this position, and I would gladly take it. So you know what? I'm glad I'm the one stuck in the mud. Unfortunately, yeah, I'm not going to get my work done for the day, but fortunately, I've just been given a moment to rest,
Eh,
and so I will. Or I've just been given a moment to be, just be like, I can do nothing. So might as well just be at peace and be like, all right, just wait time. I'm gonna pray, or I'm gonna go study. I'm gonna pull up my phone and look at some things, or hey, perfect time to touch up my Japanese or whatever. Like
eh,
I've been given a moment. I'll take it. I'll take it. And that's gonna happen to you in your life. It might not be that exact scenario, but you're gonna be stuck in a moment and you're gonna get mad. And then you can choose the alternative. I remember that all the time. Like Joe said it, like, what would you rather be? I remember asking that question to myself so often. Like, if I could be happy, sad, angry, tormented, peaceful, all these things. I just like think about it. I'm like, what would I want to be in this moment? All right, I figured it out. It doesn't take long to go like, okay, I definitely don't want to be angry. That doesn't actually feel good. It doesn't feel good to be angry. A lot
uh-huh.
of times I mean, sometimes it can, like if you've got that real righteous tick about you. But uh, most of the time, it doesn't feel good to be angry. It feels good to be happy, right? It feels good to have joy. And
Uh-huh.
so as soon as I come to that response, I'm like, okay, I'd rather be joyful. All right, how do I get there from here? And then I just start going in that direction. A lot of times it's just asking that question, and all of a sudden now the madness is gone. It's just like my anger is gone because I asked that question and I know better. Or like I asked that question, now I'm not thinking about the problem that angered me anymore. Now I'm thinking about how I'm thinking and or how I'm feeling, and I'm like, I have some control over that.
Uh-huh.
Let's use that. Let's show that I have that ability within me. Let's prove it to myself. And I think that moved me really far, when it came to overcoming. This is still on topic of what we were talking about before. Overcoming those emotions, overcoming those thoughts,
Yeah.
whatever it was. So, yeah, absolutely. Anyhow, thank you so much, Cherry. You're amazing.
Yes. Yes, you are. Drachi. How can I become more happy right now? Coffee. Hey, coffee's good.
うん。
So is
コーヒー
tea.
が持っています。
Yes. So anyway, wow, thank you so much. My goodness, the chat has been so lively tonight. You
I know.
guys are tremendous. And it's been great to see all of you. I haven't jumped in there and typed much of anything, but man, and I haven't caught everything that was going on. I totally missed the whole pun
Yeah, there was
exchange.
definitely a lot of punning going on with the hands and stuff.
Yeah. I saw a couple things, but I didn't catch much of it. But
Yeah, I didn't read all of it either. I was like, well, that's a tangent I don't want to get into at the moment.
yep.
Want to fall
But you
victim to
guys,
that.
man, it's been so great hanging out
Hmm.
with you.
Yeah,
And I'm so glad all
likewise.
of you came. And a
Hmm.
lot of you are names that I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah,
So thanks for coming
yeah, it's
back.
good to see you guys. Thank you. Yeah,
And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed yourselves as much as we enjoyed ourselves, because this is like the highlight of my week, or
yeah.
one of the highlights of my week.
Oh, for sure,
You
for
know,
sure.
to do this show with you guys, to just hang out with Ryan and Jesse and Princess and whoever comes to the chat, and yeah, just see what's going on in people's lives. And you know, it's so fun to share this love with you guys. And yeah, so come back next Wednesday. You'll have a much more astute host, and And yeah,
Astute?
astute.
You think I'm astute?
Yes, I do.
You think
You're
I'm
you're
you think that I am astute? What
you're
is astute?
astuter. You're
Define
astuter than
astute.
me. You're astuter than me.
Well, you're astuterer than you're stuterist.
I think. Well, I could be wrong about my definition of the word astute.
I don't know the definition personally. I would assume well studied.
Yes, that would. Yeah, astute, well studied, smarter, more glorious, has greater, better hair, will have a bigger beard than me then,
That all
and
of that
yeah,
is
all
definitely
that
an
is astute.
astuteness. Definitely. If I look up the definition, that's gonna be in there. More glorious, has better hair, and is
Yep.
currently and his beard is going to be bigger than the next guy over.
Yeah.
In time. In time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All that.
Mm-hmm.
That's astute.
We are so astute, man.
Princess has the definition. Having or showing an ability to accurately assess situations or people and turn this to one's advantage.
Oh.
Yes. Well, you're definitely more astute.
Well, geez, that's what we were just talking about.
Better
Sherry,
hair, bigger beard.
No, Sherry, what you need to do is just be more astute. There you go. You just be able to accurately assess situations or people and turn it into one's advantage. So I don't know. I think that's kind of like all we do here. That's what the whole thing is about. For Don't Worry Wednesday. It's like, just be more astute.
Yep. Turn around, make it a win. You can do it.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. So thank you guys all for being here. Thank you guys so much again for coming. It's been great. And we will see you next week. In the meantime, go to bss.studio, hang out there, post something in there if you want. And yeah, we'll see you next time. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
So you guys are awesome. Love you all. And
Indeed.
yeah. So
bye guys.
Bye guys. Love you guys.